was gonna explain something, kind of like
a
ritual while the baby was coming out or something, and it just didn't happen. It
All,
was really weird.
all he said was, touch the rock and you'll know everything.
Yeah.
And then there was no explanation whatsoever. And I had fallen asleep, and then I ended up watching the rest of it, mostly with Ashton, and then I finished the last 20 minutes on my own because for whatever reason I fell asleep through every movie. And I asked both of them, thanks.
So
I asked both of them, do they ever explain the rock? Nope. So I watched it and I'm like, okay, well maybe they missed something. Nope. They don't explain shit. And I'm like, well what the fuck was the point of the rock? So
they don't explain the grass people either.
I kind of felt like this was Isaac's in Children of the Corn. Like when shit's going crazy, he's like, we're gonna take over the world or whatever, you know what I mean? We're bringing him back, and you know, but that fucking moment never happened. It was really a weird miss for me. So I enjoyed the movie though. I mean, I enjoyed the movie. It was just a really weird thing for me.
When you very first see the grass people, my head was like, oh, that's the baby. Like she's giving birth to the grass people, and then everything else that happens with the baby, like spoiler alert, she eats her own child. I was like,
yeah,
Jesus
fucking weird.
Christ,
Disturbing fucking part.
But the nice thing about it was it
tastes like you.
It was
I just real quick before you go on. When you guys finished the movie, I just got a text message from Ashton at work like, "What the fuck is with that in the tall grass? She eats her goddamn baby." I was like, "Oh man,
there's the pie guy."
I know it is.
So it was the first horror movie I had watched since Hereditary. So like it had to fill in a pretty decent gap, and I thought it did really good. It's not like as scary as Hereditary because nothing will ever top that.
I don't really think this movie was scary at all. I wasn't scared.
It has its moments.
I enjoyed it.
There's a couple of jumpy moments,
yeah,
but it wasn't like scary.
See, I don't think that's scary as much as it like does that
It's
to me.
startling.
I don't really think it's
Yeah.
scary. But I texted you as soon as she's laying there and he's like, "Oh, it's grass. Don't worry about it." And then you see the baby. I was like, "Did she just fucking eat her own baby?" I was like, "What the fuck?"
So for me, this is a very suspenseful movie for sure. Like especially the first not even 10 minutes. I would say like the first half an hour where they're just stuck in the grass and they cannot get the fuck out of it is just like the whole time I was watching it, I was just like tense.
Yeah.
You know? The whole scene where he like, it's okay, honey, you're just grass.
And he
fucking
squishes her head.
Yeah. And they start like sprinting away. I was like, oh, shit's about to get like intense. That's how I knew.
I think that's why I left the first time, because I was like super fucking stoned out of my mind, and then I'm like, they're never getting out of the grass.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
And I was like, I'm gonna go to bed because I can't handle this right now. It's too late. I'm gonna go put on comedy.
I think that's when the intensity of the movie kind of just went from
like
here to like here, like immediately out of nowhere.
Because then it becomes kind of slashery.
For sure.
Chasing him through the corn maze.
It becomes a very
maze.
Yeah,
the beginning of it. The very beginning of it is very psychological, and then once it hits that point, it just becomes a straight horror film. Like it's not scary, but it's definitely a horror movie because the intention is to fucking freak you out and gross you out. So
I think the fight between like the boyfriend, husband, daddy thingy and the brother is really interesting.
The baby daddy.
The baby daddy,
and the brother that loves his sister.
Yeah, because like Cal is protecting his sister from all the wrong things, while Travis is just trying to make sure she survives long enough to give birth.
Right.
And then Cal is just like, "Fuck you."
I would have picked her up and thrown her ass through the portal. Like, if that's really what's happening, fuck you, you're not going in there. If I'm going to die, I guess I'm going to die. But you get your ass to safety, like, if that's what it ends up being, because that's what it
seems like, yeah. I don't know. In general, this movie leaves enough questions instead of answers that I almost wonder if there's another one of these coming out.
It
or
kinda-
if this might be
It kind
the
of needs
start.
a prequel.
It really does,
Or
because
if
they don't
this is-
explain the church, they don't explain the rock, and those seem really significant, but there's zero explanation.
A
I-
random like gas station in the middle of the corn
Or the
that they're in.
And how
Or
does
the
it
bowling
end up
alley?
there? Like,
Yeah.
how can it be a
Yeah.
focal point? Like, I almost wonder if this is the beginning of a series of maybe three movies or something like that explain what's going on. Because otherwise it seems kind of incomplete. Like, it
Mhm.
definitely seems like a weird, incomplete story.
When they were walking towards the building, I just assumed it was the church. I thought that was the focal
Right,
point
and
of
then
them
they're, like-
trying to get out.
And then they're like in a bowling alley.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
And I'm like, wait.
I didn't know if it was
the fuck did
bowling
that
or a
come
bar or what. I was just like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Like, it was just really
Well,
weird
because
to
he
me.
says, he makes that little quip about there's always holes in the grass. And I'm like, is there like a hole in the grass? Are they like in a different place? Are they in a different time?
They're like portals. Like,
Like,
they can
what-
jump from
what
place
is
to place.
happening?
And that's why I thought, fuck it, I'm running through the portal.
And they don't explain like why dead things don't move, and like there's just so many questions at the end of this movie that you almost want to just see them do another one. It's like Cube, just like you said with Cube, where there's so many questions and some of them can get answered in the sequels. And I feel like this would be an effective series if you answer some of the questions but not all of the questions.
There was a visual that I really liked in it, like when, what's the dad's name? Ross or something like that. I don't know.
Oh,
Creepy sales dude.
Murder guy.
Yeah, murder man with scissors in his
Creepy
eyeballs.
car salesman.
Yeah, creepy car salesman. Creepy car
Why'd you look at
salesman.
me? You've been a car salesman way longer than I have.
When somewhere in the middle of the movie, whenever he
Like the in the tall grass explanation is the first thing that comes up on Google when you type in the tall
Right?
grass.
when he corners Cow and he's like, and this is where you die, and then he's struggling with him on the ground, and Cow looks over and he sees his
Himself.
dead body, and then a more desiccated part of his dead body, and then like it's just like this
Over and over,
over and over
again.
and over again. I'm like, the visual of that was really kind of cool to me.
Say a very similar scene when he says, I bet you're wondering if I would have taken a left turn or a right turn, would this save me?
Or
Trust
he just
me.
went straight.
You've done it. You've gone right and I killed you. You've gone left, I killed you. You went straight and I killed you.
Right.
And then you see like
The
all
lines,
the
there's, like,
corpses.
6 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fucking really, really cool part of the movie. That's one of the things I really, really
It was
enjoyed.
probably my flu delirium, but when she calls herself, I was like, how are you calling yourself? You can't call yourself.
You really can.
You can't. And I'm like, bitch, please.
Like, no matter how timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly it is, like, you definitely can't call yourself because you can't call it.
Yeah.
It does. That's not how cell phones
No.
work, basically.
My biggest question is, so the first kid touched the rock.
Mm-hmm.
The
You
second
mean the
kid,
little kid?
the little kid.
Yeah.
The second kid doesn't touch the rock. And I'm just wondering, like, what happened to the first kid that made him touch the rock? Like, how long was he in the grass? Like, how long are they in the grass before they just randomly get killed? And where the fuck did the first kid go? You never see him get killed, or
He
did,
just-
like,
Goes away.
He just goes away.
where though?
Ashton, we just talked about how this movie has no answers for you.
I know, and you had touched on when we were talking earlier about Midsommar. You had said that I like things in a linear fashion, and
Yeah.
I really liked this movie. It held my interest a lot, but I don't do well when Barry's fucking up the timeline, and I literally had to say to myself, well, fuck it, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, because none of it made sense to me, because these different timeline
You
versions
do
of themselves come in, and I'm like, okay, I get that, but then you're calling yourself, and then you see yourself dead, but then you come back, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
So, I don't want you to think this is like a dig at you because it's not meant to be, but you do really struggle with non-linear timeline
I
stuff.
fucking hate it.
Like Memento, you hate that
I
movie.
fucking hate that movie
This,
so much.
this movie really hard for you to follow. We've watched a couple other movies that have like really
The timeline
jacked
stuff,
up
I can't
timeline
deal
stuff.
with it.
You don't like that, and that's totally fine. It's 100%
But I do like Dr.
understandable.
I kind of feel like the boyfriend somehow
He seems
lived
like
outside
right.
of the timeline.
Like he's like,
and so he was able
he's
to
the
kind of
constant.
change things. Yeah,
Somehow he's special.
Yes.
And they don't explain why that is either.
But that's how I felt because I almost was like, I don't think this is time travel. They're just duplicated. It was just really weird.
You know what it was
to
like?
me.
It was like a weird episode of Sliders, where there was like different slider times coming in, but there's a constant, and it was Travis, and he's always trying to like save his girlfriend, and hopefully kill the dumb brother. So
also dumb brother, the dude is strangling the boyfriend.
Right.
I don't care how much I love that other girl. If that guy dies, he's after me next. Like, I'm fucking helping that guy try and kill the one dude. And then we'll sort all the other bullshit out later.
Absolutely.
Right.
That is wrestling psychology 101. If there's a monster, you get the monster first, and then you deal with each other.
Right.
Going back to what you were saying about the sequels, I just remembered when Travis first meets the first version of the boy, he goes,
Jesus, that is a fucked up sentence.
he goes, there's other people in the grass, but they're not related to our story, which means there's like either different versions of themselves,
right,
or
a whole other set of
storylines.
storylines.
Yeah, because Travis is like, "Who the hell are you?" And he goes, "You know me." And he's like, "I'm whatever the kid's name was, Tobin." And he's like, "No, I don't." And he goes, "No," and it's what you said. We have our story. There's other people.
Yeah.
But they don't matter.
Here's the other thing that I noticed. At the end of the movie, he lets the boy out. The boy goes with the people, stops him from going in, which essentially stops everything from happening.
Right.
Now they've just randomly stolen a child to these two parents who now don't know where their kid is.
Yeah, that's
if
fair.
you fix the timeline, like the parents are like, what the fuck?
Where's our kid?
Yeah.
He was in the van a minute ago. And now he's not in the van.
I mean, that's like second version small kid whose parents are already dead.
I don't think so because the mom and the dad went in after the kid.
Yeah.
Generally.
But I thought wasn't she about to walk? No, he was about to walk into the grass when the kid sprints out of the church.
Right.
So that kid's parents would have already been dead.
No, because the kid went in first. Supposedly, the kid went in first, and then his parents went in.
Right.
And then the two came by the car, and then they heard the boy and went in as well.
Right, but there's a Tobin in the grass, and then there's this Tobin. So technically, there'd be two Tobins in the same timeline currently. And the dirty Tobin tells them.
You have to assume there's two. You have to assume there's two of everything.
Right.
Because if this is a time travel movie, if he's traveled back in time to stop the two main characters from going in the grass, then the two parents haven't gotten in the grass yet, I assume.
No, because the Tobin that's coming out of the church has gone through everything, so his parents are already dead.
He's the one who watched his mom's head get squished like a watermelon. And his dad has scissors in his eyes.
There's like a Tobin in the grass calling them to enter the grass.
And he's the one that's gone through the ordeal that makes them not follow the Tobin whose parents have already died. Holy fuck, that's too much.
You see why I don't like non-linear shit?
I love it.
It was
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch the movie, but like, y'all said Tobin about 3 times and I was out.
Well, that might explain a little bit of this. So
on
Rotten Tomatoes, the critics have given this a fucking 36%, which is awful. And the fan score is 51, which is actually worse than Midsommar, which really surprises me.
Me too.
Because the reaction that I've heard from regular people about Midsommar is, it was okay. But people that I've talked to really enjoyed this movie. Does that just mean I have fucked up friends?
Yes. But I wonder if it's because it doesn't tie up a lot of loose ends.
For sure.
And people like a nice, neat little package where there's some sort of ending.
I think that's what we're learning about.
I kind of felt like it tied up the ends, but left a big hole in the
middle.
Yeah, that's it. Like I was like, oh, all right, cool. He stopped it, and the dude disappeared. So I assume he just never went in, and he's alive somewhere because he came in after them. I think, right? The boyfriend.
Right.
So crazy Travis still in the corn.
No, you mean crazy Cal, the brother?
Cal's dead. dad's dead, mom's dead, sister's dead, baby's dead.
Only
Tobin and Travis are the only two people that are still alive in the second timeline. The one that kind of works. Tobin gets out, but Travis touches the rock, so he doesn't want to leave anymore.
Well, he disappeared at the end of the movie.
Yeah, Travis.
So I just assume he's alive then.
Yeah.
Third timeline, Travis would still be
In the grass.
No, I think he'd be dead.
No,
Oh,
Because the one who touched the rock is the one who disappeared, and the other guys were already dead.
oh, so he would be dead.
I
yeah.
think so.
I guess Tobin and the sister and the brother just go back and she figures it out with Travis, the new Travis.
Maybe.
I think so. They just patch up. So the only person who would know what the fuck happened is the kid.
Is the kid.
And so the other people are just like, oh fuck, let's just fix our lives.
Could you imagine hearing that fucked up story from that little kid?
I don't. You think he says it? You think he tells it?
No, they gotta be like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, isn't that you out there? Like, what the hell? Like, he has to say something to them.
Right.
The biggest question is, why do they leave? Like, I get that they have the same voice, but if you were in that situation,
Well, he shows him the bloody necklace.
that's right.
And then
Yeah.
and then so he's like,
Forgot
don't
about that.
fucking go in there. And he shows her own necklace, and she's wearing the other necklace.
Yeah.
So that would make me be like, what the fuck? All right, I'm not going to the grass.
So at that point, you gotta imagine that like about 5 minutes into the car ride, she turns around and goes, "Okay, what the fuck is happening?" Like, and then at some point, he's got to try to explain this like ridiculous story to them, and they have to be like, "Stop taking LSD, little kid."
don't do drugs.
This movie screams sequel. Like it
for
really
sure.
does.
I
There's,
thought prequel.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
A
yeah.
follow-up
Something.
film.
Yeah,
How's
yeah,
that?
for sure.
Like there's just too much missing in it for it to not have some kind of follow-up.
I liked it all. I just don't understand the mythos, and that bothers me. Like I don't get that.
I think there are some hints to like a lot of the ideas that like Lovecraft wrote about that I think you're supposed to kind of have in the back of your head, especially when it comes to like the rock, because it really feels like something that would come from a Lovecraft story from space. Like that is definitely the vibe I got from it, is that it's an ancient, like it's some kind of ancient stone that has come from space and belongs to a ancient race that is no longer there, which is a very, like Ashton knows from
Yes.
reading, and I think Bailey from reading a lot of Lovecraft stuff, is that's very Lovecraft mythos, which is something that Stephen King loves to play with and something his son loves to play with too. So I wonder if there are some like ideas that it's assumed whether you know them or not, that this movie plays with a little bit.
If I'm the little kid, I'm growing up and opening a construction company, and then I'm fucking taking that grass down with crews and tractors, not just one dude getting lost in the grass.
But,
Right.
But how would you do it? Because you gotta think, you can't destroy the grass. Like, remember the scene where he's like tying up
and
the
it
grass?
unravels.
What I would try to do,
I'd
Burn it.
I would
Fire's all the
do
same.
that, but what I would try to do is just stay on the edges as much as possible. Take a big ass tractor with some giant fucking lawnmower
Flamethrower.
thing or something, and just live on the edge. And then if it starts to go back up, fucking I'm out again. But
Fucking burn it
yeah,
down again.
but I ride that edge because there was
Thank you,
the
Fred
scene.
Rollins.
There was the scene where he kind of steps in and he's right there on the edge and he doesn't go in at the very end. So I don't know.
There's one like big question for me. When she's in the like middle of giving birth, that big ass hole opens up underneath her, like right in front of the rock, and you can see all of the like loose limbs like in the hole just kind of moving around.
I think they were babies. I don't think they were loose limbs.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking she was going to just drop the baby into the hole by accident, or somebody was just going to toss the baby into the hole, and then she eats the baby instead.
Well, she was fed the baby. She didn't eat the baby.
Yeah, she
I mean,
definitely
but-
did not choose that
Yeah.
moment.
She was fed the baby. I wonder if that's like one of the things that just straight fucked over the timeline. Because
the baby sacrifice thing was weird because I don't know
That's
what the fuck
gross.
was supposed to come from it.
Right.
Just like from what you guys are saying, I feel like if you go back and watch like a couple more times, you'll probably pick up on stuff that, like,
It definitely
Whatever is-
seems like a film that has a lot of rewatchability for
Mhm.
stuff
Yeah.
that you missed.
yeah, I feel like
The Witch.
yes, like the witch. Like I feel like if you go back, maybe on the stone, it'll have more about why they made her eat the baby. But I have no idea because
Yeah.
There's like a scene where it's just showing random things from the stone, and it's like cutting back to her, stone back to her, and that was interesting. But the stone doesn't really depict anything. It kind of shows what's happening to her.
Just
like a
in that
ritual,
moment when
but
she's
it's
giving
just
the
nothing.
birth, yeah, there's like like the ritualistic hieroglyphs, and then that's really all you ever
Right.
see of
I
the
agree.
stone.
Like there's that one scene where he puts his hand on the stone, and that's like the very beginning part of when you're like watching him like fade into like bloodiness, and you can like see all the grass and all the stuff, and then he's like, I know the way out, but no explanation.
Yeah, that was
like,
at the
how
very
he
end.
knows that.
Yeah, that was the and so when you pop up to the top down view and the red kind of runs through the world, I
Yeah.
thought that that there was gonna be more, and then it's just whoop, and then he's out, and it was just like, ah, what the fuck?
Yeah. I genuinely feel like this is just primed for a follow-up film.
I like it. It was on Netflix, right? So
Correct,
it's
it is
not.
on
I can't
Netflix, right?
imagine it. I can't imagine them not giving Stephen King more money.
Well,
But
yeah,
who
he's
knows?
Stephen King.
Yeah.
His son is a super prolific writer, and his stories have been made into films too already. So it's not. It's. I mean, the apple didn't fall far from the tree, and like their creative process is very similar. And honestly, what they made together is really cool. Apparently, the short story that this is based on is really, really good as well. So. So for me, that is a totally different movie.
In the Tall Grass, 2005.
Looks like a documentary or some kind of Kenyan movie or something.
Some kind of voodoo movie.
The Rwandan genocide itself may have been confined to around 100 days. So fun about
About
Rwandan.
murder.
Both movies are about murder. One's real, one's not. All right, so for the four of us that have watched it, let's go ahead and give it a little bit of a rating. I would give this one probably like I'm gonna say like a 3.5 out of 5, 6.5 out of 10, something like that.
I was gonna say 3/4. So
Yeah, like a little bit above halfway.
yeah, 6.5, 7. That's probably a good one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I'd watch it again.
For sure, I think I'd watch this.
I think
again.
I'd say 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I kind of want to watch it again to see if I can get a little bit more out of it. What about you, Ashton?
I give it like a 4 out of 5, and then like a 7.5 out of 10. Because I
I
wish,
like that Ashton has embraced our ridiculous rating system.
like,
How many thumbs is that? Is that like a thumbs here?
It's like at a 60-degree angle.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a turgid
like-
thumb.
It's a
Yes.
turgid thumb. It's like a half.
it's like up, but it's not an actual like.
It's like not a
thumbs up
whole.
yet.
It's like a half.
Yeah,
Like,
because I really enjoyed the movie. I just
2/3.
wish there was.
2/3, not full half. Like
I would definitely suggest it, and it's definitely be an easy movie to rewatch and like find new shit.
I
in.
agree with him.
But like, there needs to be something else.
I feel like if I got too stoned, I would take notes on this movie. Like I really
feel
do.
like if
Didn't you?
I feel like if I went back into that movie, I would definitely have like a notepad and a
And try to
pencil
like diagram
and
it.
try to figure out what the fuck is happening in it.
Like his pencil.
That might be a fun. That might be a fun exercise to try to diagram who is
Don't
when
get
and where.
fired.
I paused the movie to go use the bathroom, and while I was in the bathroom, I was like, timeline. Oh, nope, just not even going to try that.
You're like,
Fucking up
nope,
the
none of this
timeline,
makes sense.
Just the whole stuff where Travis calls in Tobin, that's where I lost it. I was like, the timeline is completely fucked from here.
Nothing announced or talked about as far as the sequel yet.
Yeah, I didn't see any either.
It's like-
Damn you, Barry Allen.
Oh, so good, by the way.
Right.
So
Now I
good.
kind of want to go watch a video on it being explained.
Yeah, I'll probably look that up too. But
Definitely need to catch up on the
A
Flash.
C1.
yeah.
The anti-monitor just destroyed Earth 2. It's fucking amazing. So
Well, on that note, let's go ahead and wrap up episode 150, which is actually a pretty impressive
We're
number.
at like
That's awesome.
210 regular episodes.
So before I talk to Brother Moses and Professor
Charles Porterfield.
Charles Porterfield, I keep wanting to call him a different last name, but before I talked to them today while I was in Messenger, I said, I do have like a couple hundred interviews under my belt, and just being able to say that sentence out loud is kind of insane. Like,
So what were you saying? We're at episode 150.
Yeah, so but all the episodes encompassed, because we've switched, which I think is a cool idea now, switching the interviews to just their own thing. Now we've encompassed, I think, like 210 or something.
Wow.
yeah, we have a lot of episodes out there, lots of content. If you want to know more about our content, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thinkingoutsidethelongbox, Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch, which if you guys are watching, hello.
Buenos dias.
It's still nighttime now.
Noches.
So,
I'm just saying.
Buenos
But you can.
dias just means good day.
Okay. Anyway, any of those things you can find us at Outside Longbox, and of course, you can join us on YouTube by going. Also, hi if you're on YouTube, going to tinyurl.com/totlb2. Please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe or the notifications bell so that you know when we go live, like we are right now, or when we upload a new video. And last but not least, of course, please join us on Patreon at patreon.com/totlb. It's a really great way to support the show, help us do more stuff like this, help us talk to more people, help us to get out more into the world so that more people can enjoy the show like you do. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Thinking Outside the Long Box, where we talked about In the Tall Grass.
At this point, I think we would have decided on, or we'll have all the submissions for the calendar in.
Probably,
I'm guessing, because this will be the end of 2 weeks.
Yeah, there
So,
should be.
okay.
So,
And like I said before, every Patreon person, I'll supply them with a free calendar.
for sure. And let's not forget that really quick. We have been taking submissions from models for our calendar. It is a pinup calendar featuring the sexy bodies of Gabe, Juan, Doyle, and Tim. And
Not featuring us.
and
We're
eight.
just gonna be
We're the
in it.
features.
No.
We're the features.
No.
We're the features. and 8 other men and women that are all significantly more attractive than the 4 of us.
Thank God.
So be sure
It's gonna be
to.
a good looking thing.
Be
I
sure-
told you earlier when I was just so surprised at how many people have reached out and just been like, yeah,
I'll do
be a
that.
part. I'll
Sounds
do that.
fun. Yeah. So be sure to keep an eye out for more information on that. We'll keep updating you. Juan and I have been doing some video updates on Facebook and stuff like that. But with that said, I'm Gabe.
I'm Juan Bastion.
I'm Mel.
And I'm not sure this was a good idea.
So much snark.
Nobody knows what that means. That happened earlier in the week.
Bye. What, being in a podcast?
All of it.
All of it.
I'll watch this while
We
I'm
need to
cleaning
get
up.
the babies upstairs. It's up in the babies.
Never before has a field been quite this labyrinthine. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be explaining the ending of In the Tall Grass.
Sounds like he's really trouble.
Come along as we take a deep dive into this dense and often confusing
Oh!
Netflix original film in an attempt to better appreciate the film's convoluted plot and
It's a good movie.
it might
Maybe
go
you can
without
explain
saying
it to
that
the rest of us.
this video will contain major spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, people cannot get enough Stephen King content. And Netflix is almost
We are
happy to
currently
provide
live streaming
subscribers
someone else's
with
content.
ads.
That's right, I could.